What everyone, it is finally October, which means it's time to take a look at some spooky LEGO releases, and what better way to celebrate than this one, just in time for these movies to be re-released in cinemas depending on where you live around the world. This here is the LEGO Ideas Set 21354 Twilight The Cullen House, which is based on the movie's interpretation of the famous series. Now the set here released in February of 2025, around the time of my birthday. I just picked this up on sale 2 months ago now though, using some funds that I've earned from YouTube, so thank you all to everyone who watches these videos, because without the support that I receive from you watching, I wouldn't be able to afford the fun luxury items like this here. We have here 2001 pieces total, and we can see that this is considered to be the 62nd LEGO Ideas Set release. You've got 7 minifigures here in total, of course all being exclusive. The set does retail for the price of $220 USD before tax. That's pretty high up there, I must say. Knowing that price point definitely meant that it would be high for us here in NZ, and it retails for the price of $390 NZD. I managed to get this on sale for 270 NZD, so I saved $120. The box art here shows us a pretty great image of the characters all on display with their model home, as well as the additional builds of Bella's truck and a werewolf. I feel it's an appealing model for collectors outside of the franchise too, for that fancy build of a modern house, and the back of the box here shows us the main appealing features like a better image of the figures on display with the scenes. Down below you've got some shots of the movie being recreated here in LEGO, like Edward's room and playing on the piano. We also see the Cullens there preparing Italian food for Bella, and you can see the graduation caps along with the dimensions of the set. And this here is a better shot at how the build works in the modular fashion. Now that all that's out of the way, opening this box up here and taking a look inside, you get to see that some sets here in NZ are still releasing in plastic bags, though the new paper style material is being used for holding the instructions in place, which contains our single booklet and a sticker sheet. It was a lot to build, and it kept me busy in small increments over the course of about a week or so, I think. From memory it took maybe 5 to 6 hours or so to complete. I ended up only watching the first movie, surprisingly, which I now consider to be a smart move considering I'm about to see all 5 of these in one day in a couple of weeks. This also seems to only be referencing the first movie, sort of. Jacob's wolf appearance there is one of the few sequel inclusions, but they do include a style for him to be based on specifically his first movie appearance, so if you want to have that for your display, you're free to do so. But that's all for later anyway. We're talking about the house now, and I have to say, I really did come around on this thing in the end. I was always really satisfied with the model from the press release, but I didn't like the near $400 NZD price tag. I really loved that first movie, but I wouldn't say I love it that much. It was slightly too high out of the price range for me. But after completing the build here, I'm really impressed with the overall design and style that the LEGO team went with for this build. The first builds there to talk about though are the truck and wolf, the truck being the first thing that you build and the wolf is actually the last thing you build here. It's a pretty standard release idea for adult sets these days, a vehicle side inclusion which brings a fresh idea to the sets, but the car builds always feel more aligned with a cheaper mass audience release rather than something appropriate for an 18+ set. I suppose there's not much you can do with a car build, but for example this here is the Homer Clown car build from the Krusty Burger set that also released in 2025. The cars here are pretty similar in their build methods as well as the size and scale, and both feature some similar disappointing aspects, for me at least, like no doors and little interior decoration. Now the color grade of the first movie also makes the truck look far more older and worn down. I think the bright colors here just make it feel a bit too fresh. I would have liked to have seen something that was a bit more classic feeling. You've got some stickers for the license plates here, both at the front and at the back. In order to access the inside of the truck, you remove the roof piece here to just fit one minifig. You could probably try and squeeze another minifigure in there if you wanted to, but ultimately the truck here is just serviceable at best. Now the werewolf build here was a pretty big point of contention amongst the community when this set was originally revealed. A lot of criticisms were thrown this way towards the build looking like a LEGO Friends release with that style of face, and I think it's hard to disagree. I can definitely see it, and I think it's hard not to notice. However, it doesn't really bother me as much as I thought it might have. LEGO have been doing more and more brick-built animals lately with these Technic joints for legs, and it makes the builds a bit strange to me. It reminded me of the beast from the Dungeons & Dragons set. All 3 of these guys have this really cool display feel to them, but they're rather limiting because the joints are rather basic. Ultimately, I keep coming back around to just thinking, well, this is probably as good as you can get with this kind of a scale, because it looks like a wolf, it plays like a wolf, it's very clear what this is supposed to be, and also the size of them in the movie means that a brick-built model was probably the only way to really achieve this. You've got some tail movements here, the legs too of course, and the paws can bend also. The head is built on a neck joint there, you've got some jaw movements as well. The same printed piece used for the eyes is repeated for the ears, and I think that style works quite well. My one thing when the set was announced was I was really hoping to see if we could fit the Jacob minifigure inside the body or something. I don't know, I thought it'd be really cool to actually make the minifigure transform into the wolf, but I think it's a pretty lofty idea for a build at this scale. This here is a size comparison between a minifigure and the wolf. The Lego model is actually bigger than how they appear in the movie. I still think that this works to scale with the figures though, it's just funny to see how large this build is then. And now time for the house model, and this thing has some very cool aspects to it and some parts that I wish were reworked a little. It stands quite tall, but thankfully for my displays, it actually fits in place really well for my shelves. It does help that the shape of the build here is a rectangular model with nothing that's poking out too far for your display plates. We've got 3 floors in total, with the top floor being a much smaller design compared to the second and first floor. There's some nice decorative styles here showing us a hint of the wilderness at the sides. I do really love house builds in Lego, and I love the differences you get with each floor as you move upwards. I liked all the ground details here as much as I enjoyed finishing the roof builds. I want to highlight the sides here first, which show some nice simplistic styles of greens and browns for that earthy feeling. The front entrance there has a second floor overhanging, so you get this cool display area, and following along the side you've got some display stands and a small fence. This area of the house here is not nearly as highlighted in the movie, so it was a fun section to be building. It links us back to the side there with the tree and the small bushes. So the back of the house, like I said, features some small standing room for your minifigures. Very simple stuff here, just in case you wanted to have something displayed from the back. You've also got balconies all over the place, and the minifigures can fit in these areas as well, thankfully. This section here is a garage door, which is all a facade build, as the interior just ignores this section entirely. For the front section, we have this neat intricate build that's presented to us on an angle, and we have the glass walls there with some mirror glass sections on the sides. Here's that style continuing around the house. What's interesting is how much of the build only appears to be connected for an aesthetic point of view. This wall segment here is completely removable and not linked to the second floor for support. And speaking of the second floor, you've got some crazy design elements there, like this exposed gap between the wall and the window where you can see directly below. And because the build is angular, this section here is connected by a very loose segment at the end, and for the most part it's just sitting there. If I play around with this thing, you can see how far you can pull this back. Okay, not that far, I may have been over exaggerating there, but I was still pretty surprised by this. Also for the doors, they're all able to be opened, but some of the doors are built almost too close to the edge, which means that they do get stuck at, say, the 45-degree angle. As mentioned, the top floor here is smaller. This is the bedroom for Edward. It's about half the size of the first floor, and the second floor appearing bigger than all of them. The roof there is built out of 2 large chunks, just sitting in place with no connection. Inside you've got some yellow light studs there, which I think help keep the roof builds leveled, and they stop them from sliding around. Now, one of the last things you build here alongside the Jacob werewolf is the tree that Edward and Bella climb up in the movie. We actually have a door here that can be opened so you can have the 2 leaping out to climb. The tree has been intentionally built with clips at the top there for Edward to grab, so that you're able to display the set with these guys in their climb. The set also includes a neck brace for Edward so that Bella can be attached onto his back. It's the best way that Lego can simulate a piggyback experience between your minifigs, and I think it works for what it is. We will now start the process of looking at each floor individually, and I think the best way to go about this is to just remove the floors and make our way upwards. It's a bit tricky filming interiors like this when the walls all remain in place, but we shall try our best. I've spun the set around there now to show you the first floor. The first floor here features the study area and the piano. There's not a whole lot else happening down here, and remember, this is meant to be the garage. Now we can also see a chessboard there at the back in that small segment. It feels like they didn't quite know what to do with this front entrance area because the size is just a bit too small for there to be any major display options. You've also got some flowers and a small stand. The books in the library section are just tiles, a very neat design trick that Lego have been doing for a few years now, and you've got a sticker there of some family crest as well. Now people love pointing this out. There is a picture here of a painting of Scotland, and we assume Scotland because the picture is showing us the Loch Ness Monster, and this is actually reference to the sequels. Hey, look at that, because Jacob nicknames Bella and Edward's daughter after the Loch Ness Monster. And you're able to have Edward and Bella playing their tune together. Fabulous. As for the second floor there, it links up and overhangs the rest of the build, making this the largest piece here. Inside you've got some display areas of the living room and the kitchen. It's a pretty cool kitchen build. It's not too often that Lego make a modernized kitchen setting that isn't just covered in a bunch of white bricks. This here is as close as you get to having the family making Bella her favorite meal based purely on her name. There's a picture here displayed right across from the kitchen with some key ingredients that you might find in Italian food. And moving on to the living room, but looking inside, I'm not sure how much of this the camera can pick up, but the windows have scratch marks all over them. It's something I've wanted to see LEGO do for a while, is to somehow find a way to package the window pieces away from the regular bricks. My stuff always ends up being scratched. It's very disappointing to see. The interior here is a couch and a table. It's not the most exciting stuff, but you've got some more movie references, this time to the famous baseball scene that everyone loves. You can see the items of a baseball cap, a white stud to resemble a ball, and a stickered image of some bats. It's funny to me that none of the minifigures though can wear the baseball caps because they all feature double-sided expressions. And more pictures and images of sticker-based designs too, like this one that's next to the hat, and the one on the wall there by the ingredients painting. I'm not entirely sure what they are in reference to, though I will say that the patterns here do seem to match the ones on the Blu-ray box set, so the core Twilight aesthetics are still all there. Finally, we end with Edward's room here, and the only bathroom in the entire house. Yes, it's one of those funny builds where there's only one bedroom for a house for like 4 people living inside it. The shelf here shows us Edward's music collection, some stickered album releases there with a range of different genres, a rocking lobster, a jazz-inspired release, and what appears to be some kind of a boy band. No doubt these are all references to something, but all of those are going over my head. The corner here shows the bed that Edward has. It's more of a couch though, if anything, and then we see what looks like maybe an old record player, a radio or something, because we do also see a record player on the shelf with his albums. We also have some small knick-knack type of releases too, and a stickered piece of a bulletin board. The wall over to the steps that enter the room shows us the graduation caps that the Cullen kids have amassed over the years, and then we get to our bathroom area. It's another door problem where the door is said to open outwards. I'm pretty sure I built this correctly, but of course then the door gets stuck and it just blocks the entryway. I swear I haven't built this incorrectly. This is how they want you to do it in the instructions. Inside you have a small bath, a toilet, and a sink. There's enough room here for Edward to fit inside if I remove his legs. Now before we apply our roof, I want to quickly remove this bathroom door, and you'll see why in a second. The roof pieces are split in two, one larger than the other, and they both fit into place like so, nice and easily. They just sit there, which does make accessing the room very easy for us. Pretty solid stuff overall. The build for the house here left me more than impressed initially going in. There are some odd design choices here and there, but I was pretty surprised at how much I ended up loving this thing once I was finished with the build. The last thing I wanted to show off here was something that I learned from another fellow Kiwi LEGO creator. It's the only blue window piece used in the set, and placing the piece over the camera, we get to see the set featuring a similar color grade to the first movie. The color grade is what makes the first movie so eye-catching and iconic for me, and it's a shame that once Hardwick exited the series, so did that moody blue atmosphere. The minifigures here are all exclusive of course, and they feature some design elements that I really love, like great face prints and unique torsos. They also all feature a design element that I really hate. Not a single minifigure here features anything in the form of leg printing. It's a LEGO set based on an early to mid 2000s property, and not one minifig here is shown wearing some edgy jeans or showcasing pockets or featuring some branded shoes. Overall, I'm more positive than negative on this selection, but it's a great example as to what's wrong with modern LEGO minifigures today. So we'll take a look at Bella first, and now Kristen Stewart has her likeness forever cemented in LEGO. I think the Bella figure is phenomenal. I was so excited to see what costumes they would pick for these guys, and I love that casual green jersey that she wears in the movie. I think it's a great pick for her. All of these minifigures feature some excellent torsos that would be so useful for customs in the future. She features her cactus accessory from the opening scenes of the movie when she first moves in with her dad, using the Elizabeth Swan hairpiece from the LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean line, a really great part to see that stuck around all these years. Both of her expressions work very well for her with that subtle emotional change that she was known for. I really love both of these expressions. A very simple figure, but a highlight nonetheless. But next up here is Edward Cullen, and honestly, the price was worth it for him alone. I now have 3 unique Pattinson characters as minifigures in my collection, and I couldn't be happier. They said it couldn't be done. This guy means everything to me. I think the Hawkeye hairpiece is perfect for him. I think that the coat choice for his torso is the ideal pick for him as well. It feels so obvious to me that he and Bella needed some leg printing for jeans and details though. I really wish we had something there. He features a double-sided expression that shows off his sparkles, which is very cool to see. He's the only vampire in the set that features some shininess to him, but all the others do feature the yellow eyes at the very least. He's a perfect inclusion, and I'm so happy to have him in my minifigure collection. Next up is Jacob Black, who completes the love triangle here for the main characters. Of course, they needed to include a Jacob figure. This guy is equally very simple but important here. He features just a t-shirt and some blue unprinted pants, but the face likeness I think works really well for Taylor Lautner. The hairpiece as well is the same as Bella's but coloured in black. It was actually the first time that we saw this piece in that color, and get this, it's now been reused in none other than the brand new LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl set. How fun is that? It's the exact same theme that introduced the piece in the first place. Jacob not only features a double-sided expression, but also the option of a shorter hairstyle, which he starts to show off in the sequels. The cocky attitude is a lot more fitting for that style, and I love the inclusion, though I'll be personally keeping this to be a display for the first movie. And this is greediness that I'm talking about here, but I wish we had a shirtless torso for this guy. I would have loved to have seen a shirtless torso with that flesh tone, because we don't currently have anything that would fit otherwise, unfortunately, and also he spends half the series shirtless anyway, it makes more sense. Then this here is Charlie Swan, Bella's dad, and for many online fans out there, the best dad in fiction. Charlie seemed to have had quite the fan base attached to him over the past couple of years, so it felt like an inclusion based on that reason alone. I'll be totally honest, I didn't need to have him in here at the loss of missing some Cullen members, but more on that later. The minifigure is a pretty good one though. I do love the torso design for that small town feeling. I just know that this would be useful for something like a Twin Peaks custom series that I might do in the future. He also features some great facial details too, with the mustache that's close to the Walt Disney one, but that Disney figure is so specifically Walt Disney, so this is a great substitute for me to be using in customs. He features a double-sided expression of a more classic Charlie stare with a disapproving look. You know, the man just wanted what was best for his daughter. It's a pretty good figure, even if I thought that it was an unnecessary inclusion. And now for the Cullens, this here is Carlisle, who is essentially the father figure of the household. It's pretty crazy to have a minifigure of Mike Dexter in hand, and he features again some really nice simple designs. Might be one of the more simplistic ones of the group though. Yeah, I just really can't get over the lame legs for all of these figures. He features a double-sided expression, still smiling and showing off those yellow eyes that make him appear more vampire. A very nice inclusion, and it makes sense to have both of the dads in one release. And now we have the two siblings, and they both happen to be my favorite in the series. This here is Alice, who I think might be the fan favorite sibling. She certainly has a lot more to do throughout the movies than the others do. Alice has an amazing torso piece that is for sure going to be useful for me in my ventures for customs, and a hair piece that I've always loved in LEGO as well. She features a double-sided expression that shows off some spooky eyes, but she also seems to be a bit annoyed here. Alice in the movies appears to be the happy-go-lucky one in the series, so it feels like a mistake to me, especially once we take a look at the final figure. This is Rosalie Hale, who is one of the two siblings that are adopted into the family. It sounds complicated, but she's the romantic partner to Emmett Cullen, the sibling to Alice and Edward. Now, why she was included over the other Cullens I'm not too sure, but the actress Nikki Reed does have a personal relationship with Catherine Hardwicke, the director of the movie. Catherine Hardwicke used to be her stepmom growing up. It's a very cool inclusion though, once again featuring a more unique print and a double-sided expression with some yellow eyes and a smile. Now it's bizarre to me because Rose's character in the movies, she's the shitty one. She's the cynic for the first couple of movies and pretty much always really negative, so I wonder why LEGO printed the opposite expressions for these two. I decided to swap the faces around, and personally I think it looks really good. It does though mean that Alice has a facial mark now, but the expressions are far more fitting to me being this way than the official releases. Now the biggest problem I have here is that this is an incomplete set of characters. It's missing 3 family members who are never going to be released otherwise, because when are they going to make a second LEGO Twilight set? As I've said, I think it's strange having Alice and Rose going from one sibling to a romantic partner, missing Jasper and Emma in between, but really I think it's strange to not have Esme here alongside Carlisle. 3 extra minifigures probably would have bumped this price up by another maybe $20 or so NZD, but it's still disappointing nonetheless to have an incomplete collection of Cullen family members. The instructions here are provided to us in one booklet, which is really cool, and as this is an Ideas and 18+ set, it means that you've got some light reading to do on the inside. We have some interview segments there from the original Ideas designer, as well as some images of what the winning model originally looked like. We've got some written work there on the movies, as well as the importance that the series holds on pop culture, a little description of the model itself, and some words from the official LEGO designers too, as they share some of their details on the design process. It's very cool stuff to read along during some breaks of building, and then it's business as usual. You build out the entire thing with a nice grey backdrop that actually feels quite fitting for the theme overall, and at the back here we have the display complete. We've got some advertisements for the other LEGO Ideas sets, and then we end with the inventory list and the main characters here seeing us off. Overall, I'm feeling pretty happy with this release, especially for the price that I personally paid. The modern house is a big model, and I think it could be a satisfying build for those collectors who don't even like Twilight. See, that's the thing, sometimes non-fans will buy these models just based on the builds alone, and LEGO have to take that into consideration. The minifigures here are satisfying, though I'm not impressed with the no-leg printing, but I love the expressions and especially the torso prints. So even though I have a few complaints, I do think LEGO did a pretty good job with this release. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this overall, I think it's good. And a big final thank you once again to everyone who watches these videos, because again, it's only because of the support that I receive from all of you that I can actually afford these luxury items. Thanks again for watching everyone. If you enjoyed this look at a LEGO Ideas movie-based release, liking this video here and subscribing to the channel does help to support more videos like this one in the future. Ka kite anō, take care everyone, hope to see you all next time.